Okay, ready? Three, two, one. Hi, my name's Emily Kniff,
And my name is Josiah Allen.
and we decided to do the case of Amy Lynn Bradley, and we watched the documentary on Netflix, and the case was released over this. This case has been an ongoing case and is still an open case, but the documentary was released over the summer in 2025. Okay. Um, the Amy Lynn Bradley case involves the disappearance of a 23-year-old woman who vanished from a Royal Caribbean cruise ship in March of 1998. She was the last seen sleeping on her family's cabin balcony while the ship was traveling between Aruba and Cur Curacao?
Carosia.
Cur Carosia?
Carosia.
Her disappearance was reported, but an extensive search of the Coast Guard and the FBI investigation have not found her or provided a definitive explanation. The case remains unsolved, with various theories and alleged sightings reported over the years.
So, upon uh upon them waking up, and pretty much what ended up happening is she went to bed one night while on a cruise, and in the morning the father woke up seeing her in the on the dock. Originally, around 2 hours later, he then woke up again and he did not see her. He did see her shoes, however, and then, just assuming that she went out perhaps to get, like, I believe he said coffee or like perhaps water, he got up and started looking for her. Unfortunately, after looking for her for a decent amount of time, he could not find her. And that was when he woke his wife up. They went out looking. They originally couldn't find her, and then they went to go talk to the captain. The captain was arriving at a dock, but rather than making some sort of announcement, he didn't, because there's a ton of people on a ship, so you can't stop an entire flow of a ship simply because one person went missing and you have no idea what's going on with her. So they told her to keep looking, couldn't find her, and then eventually there ended up having to be a whole announcement about it, and that's pretty much the idea of how she went missing. So yeah.
Um, the overview of her disappearance, there are many theories about how Amy went missing, and to this day, no one really still has an answer of where she is or what happened. But some of the theories are some people, like even the captain on the ship, thinks that Amy jumped off the ship and committed suicide. Amy's family believes that she's still out there, and they have hope, and every day they hope that she's gonna pop up out of the blue and come home. Others believe they've encountered Amy on the island, like Josiah said, and now some people think that she's being sex trafficked and is being shown on sexual websites and is being her body's being sold, I guess you could say, in a way. Yeah.
Okay, to put that.
Um, and then some other people believe Yellow, who is what he was called on the ship. He performed for the band for the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. I'm pretty sure he was the bass player in the band, and he was the last person seen with Amy. So people believe that he's the reason that she went missing, whether he took her off the ship, sold her somewhere. People just have beliefs that he's the reason that she's missing or possibly dead today.
Now I do want to go into a little bit of the depth on exactly the two pretty much leading theories. First being the idea that Amy was taken off the ship and that she's alive. That's pretty much the idea of the first reasoning. I found a source. This is ANT Television. To me, it was very creditable. So pretty much what happened is, or the reasoning that people believe the Cetus were still alive, maybe perhaps today, actually, which
Hmm.
is could be really cool, is the fact that when she went missing, there was no body found. And the idea was that if there was a body found, when she jumped out of the ship, or perhaps if that was the idea, if she jumped out of a ship, right, then there would have been a body that washed up on shore because bodies float.
Hmm.
Now, let's suppose perhaps she jumped off the ship and was eaten by a shark. Then there would have been like a foot or an arm or
Right.
hair, even blood. But as because I believe they could have actually found that, and that was like there was a guy on the island that they were docking at who literally said himself, he seemed like he was an expert on the matter, and said that if she did jump out, there would have been a sign, but there was zero sign. So, and not to mention the fact that actually on the balcony where she did jump off, it was like 6 feet tall. It was pretty tall. It would there's no way she could have pretty much accidentally fell off a dog.
Hmm.
So that's the idea. On top of that, there are many people, like the gentleman on the island who was in the documentary, who claimed to have seen her with two gentlemen around her when seeing the posters about her or her on Dr. Phil. It was pretty clear that that was Amy, and Amy was alive on an island. She went missing, right? And then there was the person or the lady who met her in a bathroom. And
Hmm.
when talking to Amy, simply or she recognized her face. Amy even told her that her name was Amy. So this is more of a reason to say that this random individual who went missing has been seen alive by multiple people. Thus, it would be suffice it to say that she's probably alive, or at least that's the first theory. Again, this is unfortunately nobody actually knows the answer to this. This is just all theory. And then there's the second theory, of course, is that she perhaps committed suicide because she probably couldn't have fell off by accident. So if she did commit suicide, the problem with that would be the fact that the family simply completely argued against that. They said, even if when you watch the documentary of the videos of her dancing, the videos before, she was extremely glad to be on the strip. So it wouldn't have, she didn't have that going in her life, I don't believe, that she would kill herself. So that's why it is probably not the best theory to say that she killed herself.
I'm gonna add two things in there also. There was also another encounter with Amy on the island, but this gentleman was a part of the Navy and went to the bar,
Okay,
and
yeah.
but he wasn't allowed to be at the bar at the time, and he says that he's, been to multiple bars where he wasn't supposed to all the time, and he's had weird encounters with people, and he just always kept his mouth shut about what he experienced. But he also encountered Amy, and Amy was there with another lady and two gentlemen, and the two gentlemen were both armed with guns, and the other lady with Amy sat down with this gentleman, Bill, and when the lady went up to go get a drink, Amy said to him, "I need help. I'm I'm in harm. I need money. I'm whatever." Just was asking for help, but Amy was, you could tell, like reaching out for this assistance, while Bill has experienced so many situations like this and didn't know about Amy in this major case that was going around the world. So he just kind of kept it to himself, and he also didn't want to get himself in trouble, especially being at this bar. Also, um, with the theory of Amy jumping off the ship and committing suicide, people claimed another theory that people claimed were that she did come out before as being gay, and her parents both, well, her father especially, just wasn't too happy about it. But he did say, like, this is your lifestyle, but they weren't ever gonna like push her away from the family, but they just weren't really supporting her decision of coming out. So when people heard this information, they thought, well, maybe because of this and all of her ex relationships, ex girlfriends, maybe she jumped off the boat because she didn't feel accepted by her family. But like Josiah said, there just doesn't seem a lot of evidence to seem that she did jump off the ship. So, um, my thoughts of what happened to Amy, I believe that, well, when Amy came back to the room that night after being at the club for hours with her brother, she came back and told her brother that she wasn't feeling good and decided to go lay out on the balcony and get some fresh air. I think that possibly Amy was drugged, maybe by Yellow, the gentleman in the band. I think he maybe gave her drugs, maybe put something in her drink, maybe something that just made her not feel right. And see, this is where I'm not 100% sure how she got off the ship, but I do believe that maybe Yellow took her off the ship and maybe sold her to some people for money, because she was seen with like her physical features on these websites. As you can see on the picture on the screen, that was the picture later found on one of these sexual websites that she was seen on. So maybe he sold her to someone, and I honestly don't know how she got off the ship. Maybe Who knows? Honestly, I have no idea. But I think today Amy is probably not alive. I think the theory of her maybe having kids out there and maybe having kids with someone on one of the islands that she was unfortunately with, um, possibly through rape, she might have had these kids, unfortunately. But I think that she isn't alive and all the stuff that was, I think, sorry, wait, I think that since these people probably had a hold of Amy for so long and her being seen with a bunch of different men on different islands, I think these men had a hold of her. And if they were posting her on these websites and they see this news forecast all over saying, like, we're looking for this girl, we're giving out like a fund for like where she is, I think that if they're seeing all this information, they're probably like, well, we're not going to turn her in because then we're going to get in big trouble and they're going to find us eventually. So the best solution is to probably just kill her and, get rid of her, you know, clean up the body. No one will ever find her and we stay safe with the money that we earn from her. So,
So I have similar ideas to Emily here. I believe that from the start, I don't believe that she was drugged and taken off the ship because I believe that in order to, if somebody were to drug her, originally she was on the dock. So in order for somebody to take her off the ship, that person would have had to have entered the family's room,
mhm,
snuck around, grabbed her without her saying anything, and assuming that at this particular moment she was or was not drugged. So to take her out of a ship while she's not giving any resistance, get her off the ship. Not to say that's not impossible once you if you already
mhm,
had a hold of her. If she had never entered the room with her parents, to say that she was taken off the ship and then trafficked, that is a totally reliable idea. The only problem with that, I think, is the fact that she was in her room and talked to her
mhm,
brother before she went to bed, was seen on the dock, and then sometime later she's just gone. Now, what I believe would happen is that I 100% believe that the gentleman by the name of Yellow, the bass player, is involved. I believe that, as the documentary stated, that they were talking to each other. I believe that in some way, shape, or form, she was offered drugs. I believe that she wanted drugs, and I believe that she willingly, some way or somehow, pretty much came with the idea to leave the ship because they were docked, get the drugs, then come back. I believe that when she left the ship willingly to get drugs. I believe that there was already a regime to get her. I believe, as people stated, she was the life of the party. People were staring at her. I believe that there was a regime to get her
mhm,
off the ship. So I do believe that in a way you could say that she was taken off the ship, but I don't believe that somebody dragged her off. I think
mhm,
she willingly walked off without actually knowing the full consequences of her actions. I believe that once they got her off the ship, she was, whatever drugs, whatever she was looking for off the ship. I believe that that was offered to her, but as stated, when she was had an encounter with somebody later on, it said that she needed like money of some
mhm,
sort. I believe that she got what she wanted, but she didn't actually have the funds to pay for what she wanted. And they took her as ransom, probably saying, hey, we're going to take you for now. You pay us back after some time, we'll let you go. Obviously, from the start, I believe that there was an alternative motive at play here. I believe that people told her, we'll let you go. They didn't. They dragged her around. She was probably not sex trafficked at the start, but I'm pretty sure in a lot of people's minds, that was probably where it was going in their minds, not
mhm,
in hers specifically. I do believe, as stated by when she had an encounter with another person, is that she does have kids. I do believe that she was trafficked. I believe that she has kids, as I believe that's why they were saying, hey, if you cooperate or whatever, we're gonna let you go see the kids. And that's when they said that she showed happy emotion. That's why I believe that, and actually that is my reasoning to believe that, even though in the later parts of the documentary it says that they've created this website, and some for some reason this IP address keeps
mhm,
pinging consistently on specific dates of the year, this website to look at the family. I believe that's her, but I at the same time I believe that the only reason she's not reaching out is because she has kids and she loves them as any mother would, and she doesn't want them to die. She doesn't want to face those consequences. So Whether or not she is alive or is dead, I can only hope and pray that she's alive. But as Emily said here, we've got an entire documentary. We've got websites. We've got the FBI investigating. We've got practically. I never even heard of this lady, but anybody who's into true crime probably knows about this person. And who's to say that people aren't still looking, right? So there would
Yeah.
be. I mean, sure, you have, and I don't mean to sound bad here, but you've got a prostitute who's giving you. Sure, she can give you some money, but unfortunately, she's her life probably isn't worth the trouble that she's bringing. So I think that for that reason, it would probably be smart to say that she has passed away
Hmm.
because that is unfortunately probably is what happened here. So that's pretty much my beliefs on the matter. I don't believe that she is alive, but I believe that she left that ship willingly and
Hmm.
was willingly staying with these people for a decent amount of time. Things got worse and worse and worse. As in the kidnappers' minds, it was already going to happen, not in hers. And then I believe that she was sex trafficked, and I believe that she probably is dead now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think um I agree with what a lot of you said, but there are still the like missing pieces, you know? There's the why are her shoes still in the room when she left the ship? Like why would if you were willingly taken, not willingly, but like you got up on your own and left the ship, why wouldn't you have taken your shoes with you? Why wouldn't you have taken something or let someone know you were coming back? You know, I just like you didn't really have to say where, and I know it was probably very secretive and like her t telling her parents like she was getting off the ship for drugs is not something your parent wants to hear, but hearing, hey, maybe I met a friend on the ship, I'm gonna get off the ship for a little bit, I'm gonna go hang out with them, I'll meet you back here in a little bit. That could have been a possible reason, but like that just wasn't the case. Her shoes were left there, and it's just interesting to see. Also, I agree with the IP. The IP addresses are pretty strange, and they also said in the documentary on Netflix that these the same IP address on the family's Facebook always popped up on special occasions. So like Thanksgiving, Amy's mom's birthday, Christmas, like they would always see the same IP address pop up. So maybe Amy's thinking I miss them more on these days, thinking of them more, but doesn't want to reach out. I completely agree with Josiah. And she has these kids, and maybe she's just deciding I'm not gonna reach out and risk these kids' lives that now I'm raising. Also, I don't know the exact word, but there was a word used of what Amy could be going through where she's been so manipulated for so many years now that she believes that this is her lifestyle now.
I think it's Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm?
I don't know what
It
that
might
means.
be, but like there's a certain word where it just describes Amy feeling like this is her lifestyle now and like she can't find a way out of it. Like she's been told and controlled for so many years now. I mean, I'm pretty sure this documentary was released because of was her 20th anniversary if I'm not mistaken of like her being gone. And to this day she's still missing. So hopefully, I mean, maybe there'll be more information soon and especially they just released a whole documentary that the whole world is watching. So maybe this will just bring more attention to it and maybe she'll come back, maybe she'll be found, hopefully alive, but even if she is dead, maybe they'll find something of her body buried, burned, wherever, and hopefully it just solves this case.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of those things where we can say that it doesn't make sense that she didn't have shoes on. Why would you leave an entire ship barefoot? If that makes zero sense. And then not to mention the fact that there's so many sightings of this one person that looks like Amy, even from the lady, even talks like Amy. There's this is just too many. I would simply argue that there's way too many coincidences of no body and a ton of sightings to make the statement that she didn't leave that ship. And also, I want to just add this in there before we end, is that I believe that the captain of the ship was said that, oh, he thinks that she just jumped overboard and
Yes.
committed suicide. I believe that the only reason that the captain is saying that is simply because that would mean if Yellow was involved, that would mean that he hired a person who kidnaps and traffics women. That would probably that's terror, and that would should cost him.
Also, we forgot to bring up there was a part in the documentary about Yellow where Yellow's daughter
Yeah,
did speak up. And Yellow's daughter, they're like Yellow's ex-wife, they're not together and they have a daughter together, and the daughter and the ex-wife found a bunch of pictures of women in Yellow's bag because, he goes on all these cruises and performs. And it was pretty interesting to just find a bag full of these women that he's taken pictures of. And he claimed that he used to be a flirt on these ships that he would perform on, but he had a bunch of pictures, and I'm pretty sure one of them was Amy. And I can't confirm nor deny that, but I'm pretty sure he just had a bunch of pictures of Amy, and not of Amy, of different women. And when the daughter and the ex-wife asked him about it, he just got very defensive really quickly.
Yeah.
And they did do tests with him to try and see, like, well, is he lying? Is he telling the truth? And nothing got pulled through with that one. No one ever actually confirmed nor denied, but they kind of just let him go. And they said that he wasn't the reason that she went missing. But when you do talk to him about it, he does feel very um defensive about the whole case and feels that he shouldn't be being questioned about something like this, even though it is pretty odd. He has a bunch of pictures of women with him constantly in his bags. So,
Another, well, I think this is really just the end of it. But the problem here is the problem with the timeline
mhm,
where we've got Yellow on a ship, and we don't. The problem with the ship was the fact that they could only clock, or they could only pretty much the sensors were only for when you go in.
mhm.
So when she left,
You're talking about the cabins on the cruise
yes,
ship? Yes.
nobody has any idea when she could have left the ship
Yeah.
because there's no way of telling. And something that I we were talking about before this, something that was quite odd, is the fact that if you were to go on a ship today,
Mhm.
there's going to be cameras left and right.
Yeah.
This couldn't happen today.
Right.
But back then, some way, somehow, there's no cameras of her ever leaving her room. There's no
Yes.
cameras out of the ship. There's no way of seeing it. Is keep in mind we do have to pretty much bring into account that this was, I believe, 1998. So this was very early on. So that could certainly be a factor in this. Nevertheless, the fact that there's pretty much no way of seeing her after she woke up or after she went missing,
Mhm.
that's pretty bizarre to me. The fact that there's no cameras, no sightings, no nothing, just a bunch of
Yeah.
eyewitness testimony.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like today, if you were on a cruise ship and you went missing, you would find out in an instant where that person went. Whether they jumped off the ship, you would know because you didn't see them leave their room again. If they went up to the top deck, you would know that because there's just cameras everywhere. But it's just pretty bizarre that she's still not found. There's no evidence of her even anywhere. Sure, and it's pretty bizarre that all these people have encountered her. Like, it's not that she went missing and there's no evidence. People were seeing her and saying like, "Oh, she's still alive," which is just insane. But yeah, hopefully this case gets solved in the future with an answer of some sort.
That's the that is the goal. That is the goal because the unfortunate thing with the family is that, which I believe that this would be with just about the majority of families, when you have a person in your family that you genuinely and truly love from the bottom of your heart, and they just go missing. I mean, you're gonna expend every single resource that you possibly have. You're gonna go through every single bit of trouble that you possibly can to find this person.
Hmm.
And when you even watch a documentary, and these people look nothing the way they did when they entered that cruise ship,
Hmm.
they're still fighting today. And I think that's really sucks. I mean, we're spectators, we're outsiders. We can only see, oh, this is bad. We feel for somebody, but we don't really
Something
know.
tells me this stopped recording. I hope it didn't, but I think it
It's
might have.
recording.
Is it? It says it is.
Yeah,
I'll have to cut that out. Okay. Keep
but
going.
but yeah, the family, they're still stuck on this, and that's what's really sucks. They're significantly older, and what really sucks is that they will most likely die. And if she's not found, they will most likely die grasping on the idea that she is still alive. And that would mean that you've got a brother, a mother, and a father, and the exes,
Hmm.
the family members who don't live the way that I would argue, I honestly want to argue deserve. Like they're not going to be able to live the life that I believe they should. So
Yeah.
that's tragic. We can never really relate to how they're feeling, and I hope that nobody goes through that. But
Yeah.
that's what sucks about this whole thing is that it's really not done.
No, I completely agree. I think it's just a tragic ending, and hopefully knowing as Amy's parents get older, her brother's getting older, they can maybe die happy knowing that there is an answer and just not this ongoing hope constantly thinking that she's out there. But I mean, you can only hope for the best, and I think that's what they're doing. So, yeah, I think that's it.
I think that is it. This was fun.